is not starting off right because I did ask for music, and I don't hear any music, but I am so excited. Okay, there we go. But I am so excited to be here. Thank you all for coming out. This is truly, truly, truly a dream come true. I tell you, do not ever, ever, ever let anyone tell you that you cannot accomplish anything. Never, ever, ever stop dreaming, because this is something that I thought about when Sally Jesse Raphael was coming on with those red glasses and Phil Donahue, and I think I was in middle school, and I used to say, I can do that. One day I want to do that. I can do that, and I stand here before you. So thank you all for coming out and being here on Veterans Day. So happy to support all the veterans. And tonight we are here to celebrate and lift up and recognize our veterans. So let's give it up for all of our veterans. Yes, let's give it up for all of our veterans. Now, I have to tell you, I learned, because as a diversity and inclusion specialist, you know, we always say, thank you for your service, thank you for your service. But I have learned that that's not always the right thing to say to a veteran, because sometimes they don't want to hear thank you because they have put their lives on the line. So tonight, we're going to say thank you for putting your life on the line. Thank you for making it safe for us as you are out there serving our country. So let's again give it up for all of our veterans. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I am so excited about tonight's show. We have wonderful, wonderful guests lined up, and I can't wait to share with you. But I'm looking out and I'm moved because I wanted, and I said, I wasn't inviting everyone. Although Donna is probably going to kill me because she said, how many people did you invite? I said, I didn't invite a lot of people. I was like, but I wanted to look out and I wanted to see friendly faces. I wanted to see people who I know was supporting me. And that's important because not everyone is in your corner. And when you don't have people in your corner, you would be amazed how the impact that it has on your life. So when I look out, I said, I want to see those who could cheer me on, even when I'm not listening, even when I don't know it. I want to know that they are praying for me. They are believing in me. I got a text message from my girl, Rachel. I was out there, and she said, you got this, girl. And all day at work, because, yes, I did go to work today, and I worked until 5 o'clock today. Yes, I did. But all day at work, everyone was like, you got this, you got this. And my stomach was in knots. I was like, I'm glad you all think so. Everyone kept saying the same thing, but I'm here, and they said, when you get up front, it's all going to go away. It's all gone away. So thank you, Cynthia. Thank you, everyone. Are you ready for an amazing show? We have a guest here who is from the New York State. She works for the state. She is an amazing woman. I have her bio, and I reached out to her because she sent me some information. And I asked, and she said yes. She said, I will be there. And that's why it's so important to be nice to people. It's so important to be pleasant when you speak to people, because you never know when you're going to have to reach out and ask someone for something. And she did not hesitate. She said, I will be there to support you and be a guest on your show. So I'm going to ask you to give it up for Dr. Lessie Branch. Dr. Lessie Branch. You sit on that side over here. Yep. How are you?
I'm well.
Very good. Welcome to In the Moment.
Thank you.
Get excited. Get excited. Well, and for those who know me, you all know that I am very real. And I heard that one of the reasons why Oprah was successful is because she was real. So I'm about to get really real with you all because, you know, I'm not trying to be Oprah, but if it worked for her, I'm going to be real because that's who I am. So I got to put my eyes on so I can see, all right? And I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. If I start fanning, if you're 50 and over, you understand what's going on. All right. Dr. Branch, thank you so much for being on the first taping of In the Moment, but certainly will not be the last. So thank you. You are making history tonight. We are making history. So thank you so much for being on the show.
I appreciate it, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to be a history maker.
Yes, yes, absolutely. On today's show, we have Dr. Lessie Branch, who is the Special Assistant for Community Engagement for New York State Department of Veteran Services. Welcome her again. I'm really, truly excited. Yeah. I'm actually proud of myself. You know, in the moment, we're not starting, we're starting at the top. So I like that. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. So tell us, what type of services can veterans receive from your organization?
So that's a great question, and I would like to first start off by saying Happy Veterans Month to all of those who raised your right hand and served. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for the families who have served alongside, and it is because of your service that we enjoy a lot of the freedoms and rights that we have today. And in terms of the kinds of services that a veteran can receive from New York State Department of Veteran Services, it spans the gamut from state benefits to federal benefits to even some benefits that are in the private sector. And so we cover the entire spectrum. That includes health care, that includes education, employment, housing, mental health support, and financial assistance. Veterans at the federal level can access VA compensation claims, right? So if we have any service-connected veterans in the audience, you kind of know what that means. There are pension applications if you apply for that. Of course, there is the GI Bill, and something wonderful today happened with regard to Governor Hochul expanding New York State education benefits to veterans that are not combat veterans. So it used to just be if you were a combat veteran, you could access those benefits, but for veterans like myself who are a Cold War veterans, that benefit now opens to us as well. Mental health services, referrals to healthcare providers, and other benefits. So, you know, we offer help at New York State Department of Veteran Services with navigating the whole benefits landscape, if you will. For those of you who are who have, you know, applied for benefits, you know that it is a hard climb, right? And so here at New York State Department of Veteran Services, we do this free of charge. This is what we do. And we have a team of VBA1s, Veteran Benefit Advisors, who will go the distance for you. We have community outreach programs, job placements. I'm happy to be part of the Women Veterans Advisory Council here in New York State, which advocates for women veterans, which is the fastest growing group of veterans in the country. And so we do that at the federal, at the state, and at the local level, and really in my role as a community engagement specialist, I look at my role as to find and serve veterans wherever they live, work, and play, and then trying to find the assets that reside in community and connect veterans to those.
Well, that leads me into my next question, because a lot of the answers, a lot of the questions that I have here, you answered. But one of the things that I always wonder and I question is when I see homeless veterans. And that, coming from nonprofit, working as a former caseworker here in Long Island, because, you know, oftentimes when people hear Long Island, they don't think homelessness. They think everyone has the house with the white picket fence, the 2-car garage, the dog, the 2 kids, but that's not always the case. There's a lot of homelessness here. So when I see veterans and they're standing by the parkway and they have that sign that says, I'm a veteran and I'm homeless and I'm hungry. And I always ask myself, how did this happen with services like yours, with services like the other guests that I have coming on today? Why is it that they don't access those services?
So that's a great question, and I think the response to that is multifaceted, right? And so one of the things that I always say as a former professor and a former dean, intersectional problems need interdisciplinary approaches, right? And so it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, number one. Secondly, veterans are a very interesting group of people. So we have been trained to a point to be self-sufficient, to not complain, right? And so we carry that into our civilian lives after we separate from service. And so we won't ask for anything, and it's not because we are prideful, it's just because of how we have been trained. I just did a program maybe last week that I called it was a talk, the misperceptions, the misconceptions, and the truth as it relates to veterans, right? And so people tend to think that when veterans leave the service, they have all of the, like the red carpet is just rolled out for them. And nothing could be further from the truth. And so to close the gap between the misconceptions, the misperceptions, and the truth, it is not true that veterans just have all of these things, right? And so that the resources coupled with how veterans are socialized sort of creates what it is that we see. And then a lot of times, as you indicated, there's a misperception of veterans that live in wealthier communities. I am from Westchester, and Westchester is one of the more wealthier communities in New York State. But far be it from the truth that everyone who lives in Westchester, veterans included, are rolling in dough. And so we really need to work on, number one, reaching out, and that's what New York State Department of Veterans Services does. We go find and serve, and once we find and serve, we then connect the veterans. And so there's also a trust issue. We have to definitely gain the trust of veterans to let them know that we're trying to help you, we're trying to connect you to services. And with regard to New York State, there's another benefit that we have, and it's a micro grant, so to speak. And Governor Hochul also, I want to say earlier this year, signed into legislation new benefits in terms of veteran-specific housing, right? And so with the micro grant that I'm referencing, if a veteran has fallen behind or in arrears on some of their bills or taxes, they can apply for that grant. I believe it's about $2,000 in sum, where you can just use that money to get caught up on those bills. And so New York is really, to my mind, at the forefront in trying to find and serve the veterans and really to, build the trust with them.
Okay, all right. So my last question is, and you may not have the answer for this, but can you tell us the benefits of hiring a veteran? Because I know now there are a lot of employment opportunities out there. And my philosophy is, if I don't have something, I will flip a burger at McDonald's. So there are employment opportunities available, but a lot of times companies don't know the benefit. And that's the key, the benefits of hiring a veteran.
So that's a great question. And really it's about cultural competency, right? Employers need to understand, they could probably stand to benefit from a cultural competency course. Because again, there are these misconceptions and misperceptions, and then there's the truth about a veteran. a veteran will be the first one there and the last one to leave. A veteran will figure it out, right? And so, but there's this misconception or misperception about veterans and what they can do, right? And so somehow veterans tend to end up in this little box, if you will, that these are the only jobs that they can do. And so again, it needs to be cultural competency on the part of the employer, number one. But secondly, veterans can probably benefit from learning how to take their experiences and not apply them so much, but how they transform, right? And so being a former professor of HR, there are different types of skills, and learning which ones apply across the board as versus the ones that are very specific, and even the ones that are very specific can have some application in a civilian setting. But really, I think it boils down to the employer being willing to take a chance and just really understanding that cultural competency of a veteran, because to hire a veteran is a win-win situation.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you for all of that information. I appreciate you being here. Again, thank you. And I have your information. It will be put on a website because I'm sure there are individuals here who would like to find out more information. And if nothing else, what can we do to help make a difference?
So as the community engagement specialist, you are empowered to the cause of New York State Department of Veterans Services. If you know at least one veteran, point them in the direction of New York State Department of Veterans Services. You are deputized to help find and serve veterans. And just putting it out there, for Veterans Month, New York State Department of Veterans Services has partnered with healthcare providers and beauty and barber schools to provide what we call HATS. And HATS is an acronym for healthcare and haircuts and hairdos across the state.
Wow.
So check out the New York State Department of Veterans website to see where those freebies are happening across the state in honor of those who have served.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am Miss Sabrina, and I would like to thank our sponsor, Shakur Watson, who is the owner of the Sweet Tooth and Catering. For all of your bakery needs, you want to go to this location in Brooklyn, New York. I would also like to thank my sponsor, Vera Moore Cosmetics, for being here and putting this all together tonight. Thank you again for our sponsor. I appreciate you, and thank you for being part of In the Moment. Okay. Welcome back to In the Moment. I hope you enjoyed the first part of our show, and I am so excited. I have really been looking forward to interviewing the two of you. So much energy comes through when I spoke to you and from the emails and just going back and forth. So I'm so excited to have you on the show. So for my guests here, we have Anissa Leonardo, and I'm going to get this, Danny Calermos. Perfect. Yes. Thank you so much for being on In the Moment. And again, I'm excited, and the service that you're doing, I just can't wait to share with what you're doing. So first of all, thank you for everything that you're doing in the community here on Long Island. And I'm just going to tell the guests and those who are watching about everything that you're doing for our veterans. So Anissa Leonardo is a licensed clinical art therapist who has been in the field of addiction and mental health services for over a decade. She is the VP of Clinical Outreach at Water Gap Wellness in support of community outreach, treatment placement, education, and program development. She has concentrated on advanced clinical education locally and nationally, providing evidence-based and interactive presentations for treatment facilities, nonprofits, and corporate agencies to raise awareness on current trends reduce the stigma associated with assessing care, and improve collaboration within the healthcare facility. She founded Military Resilience Foundation in 2013, providing holistic and community-based events in the community with veterans, for veterans and first responders. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And we have Danny Calermos. I have it now. I have it now. Danny is a disabled veteran who was honorably discharged after serving both statewide and overseas commitments. After her service, she returned from the U.S. Army. She came back to Suffolk County,
Sure did.
where she graduated with a master's degree in mental health counseling and clinical art therapy. Danny continues her service in the substance abuse recovery path at Mountainside Treatment Center and Outreach Recovery Center, working towards her clinical hours as a permit holder to become a licensed creative arts therapist and a credentialed alcoholism and substance abuse counselor. Danny facilitates groups. You're going right up my alley. Danny facilitates groups and individual sessions with her clients where she engages in creating a safe space for each client to process their trauma by using art as a tool of self-expression through nonverbal communication for veterans and their family members. Danny has been an outreach coordinator to assist veterans to find affordable housing who are homeless or at risk for homelessness in Suffolk County. Because remember, it doesn't happen out here. Homelessness does not happen on Long Island. August 2023, Danny was presented Proclamation of Recognition from Suffolk County Legislator Rob Trotter as 2023 Female Veteran for her dedication and outstanding accomplishment in the areas of military duty, leadership, and community service. Danny is the president of the Northport Veteran Affairs Resource Coalition to prevent veteran suicide, providing up-to-date local resources for veterans in Suffolk County with a team of volunteers dedicated to bridging the gap of access to care for homeless veterans, transportation, and mental health support. Give it up for these two ladies. Give it up for these two ladies. Amazing service. That is what service is. Thank you so much. Thank you for your service, and thank you for coming back and then still providing service to the veteran community. Heartfelt thank you for all that you do. And again, like I said earlier with Lessie Branch, working in nonprofit for the number of years that I worked in nonprofit, it is near and dear to my heart because you have to work with people who are homeless. You have to work with individuals who are addicted to substance abuse and alcoholism. You have to do it all. You have to be the arm, the hand, their mind, their eyes, their ears, because if they can't do it for themselves, if they're reaching out for services, you have to be the one to do it for them. You have to advocate for them. You have to speak up for them. You have to go to the doctor's appointments with them. When they don't know, you have to know. So it is not an easy task, and it takes a special person to be able to step in and do that type of service. So once again, thank you.
Thank you for the support.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I have a lot of questions for you all, and I know you're ready. Yeah, I know you're ready for them. So my first question is your mission and your vision statement. How did you come up with, besides serving in the military, what made you want to come back and serve your community?
Oh, for me, so I was a military police officer when I was in the Army. I was one of the first females that were phased into combat arms in 2011. So for me, it was about just representation of women, being competent and confident and being capable. And so when I came home, it didn't change. That mission still stayed the same. I was in a Humvee rollover that fractured my back, so I couldn't wear the duty belt of a police officer. So NASA, PD, Suffolk PD wasn't an option for me, and that was what I was trained in. So I had to switch gears and do something that wasn't so physically demanding. And I was a single mother, and I attempted to get services. I really did try hard, but they weren't there. The programs for a single mom for a queer person, for a survivor of military sexual trauma just didn't exist in 2015. So when I went to my first mental health appointment at the VA, and they asked me, like, you know, is this, these things that you're speaking to, is it exaggerated? It sounds like, you know, it's just, there's too many things that could have happened in 4 years. Like, and just that, the invalidating my story and feeling that way on the couch of just helpless and hopeless, and this was what was supposed to help me, fueled my spite
Good
to
for
do
you.
6 years
Yes.
and get my master's in clinical art therapy. I'm very, very grateful for Anissa because clinical art therapy is something that not many people know about, and it's really like sad to hear because it's so beneficial to every population, every gender, every any human who wants to just be creative and process trauma. So yeah, so then it's just been running since then.
And it's interesting you say that. So when I had my own business and I would contract with nonprofit organizations because that was my background, and they would call me in to do their staff development training. And this one organization, they called me to do stress management in the workplace for their employees. And I took coloring books and crayons. That was it. I don't like PowerPoint. I took coloring books and crayons. And when I took it out and I handed each of them a coloring book, they were like, first of all, the director's like, we're paying you how much to have them color? I said, I got this, trust me. And I handed out the coloring books, and they were like, well, what are we supposed to do with this? I said, just be. Whatever you want to color, pick a color. Let's take it back to the basics. And they started coloring. And first they were chatting, and this makes no sense, and what are we going to get out of this? After a while, you could hear a pin drop.
Nice.
And they were so involved in coloring in the line and picking out a color that matched this shade. So that small thing, I cannot even imagine what art therapy, the impact that has on individuals, especially when we speak about trauma.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much. Anissa. And because they're interviewing together, I'm going to go from one to the other, okay? So what inspired you? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, so I'm a civilian. I'm a healthcare provider. Been an art therapist about 18 years. I've been doing this work. And my first job, which I'm so grateful for, was in an inpatient psychiatric unit. And there was a unit there that was exclusive to veterans and first responders. So military active duty veterans, FDNY and NYPD. And I learned trial by fire really quickly, how to work with first responders, and it was majority veterans and active duty service members on that unit. And they taught me, I mean, I learned more from the clients than any textbook could have given me. So I'm always grateful to pair up with veterans in the community and do the work, because really that's where the magic is. And I realized in that 7 years of doing like what I consider, it's like the ICU of psychiatric services when you're in an inpatient psych hospital. I realized there was a lot more to it than what could happen in the four walls of any facility. So I still work for, I work for a wonderful facility now called Water Gap Wellness. We do great work. I'm not saying there's anything against facilities and inpatient programs and residential programs, but I founded the nonprofit just with the idea that something has to occur out in the community that's organic and living and breathing and can bring veterans and families together in a way that's community-based, that's arts-based and holistic. We do everything from retreats in the middle of the woods to acting workshops in the middle of Manhattan. And everything in between. And it really just meets a need, especially in combination with programs that occur in facilities. So if they're doing that and then also coming to us for their downtime and connecting with other vets and really finding these channels that are a little bit abstract, it really, it empowers them to be the best selves and really just feel like they're part of something bigger. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, and I, like Dr. Branch, you answer some of the questions in our conversation. So I'm not going to repeat those questions, but I'm going to ask you, what are some of your biggest challenges that you have? When
You want to
Me
go first?
Are you asking a veteran or are you asking a clinician? Because I think that there's different
I want to ask a
barriers.
veteran.
For a veteran, for especially if I can speak to myself as a female veteran, that's my lived experience. The sexual assault rates are so incredibly high, and they continue to be even in like the veteran spaces of like the VA. So if you don't have a women's center that is, on its own, in the sense that we call it the gauntlet at Northport VA. You walk through the doors and it's just, you're the only female surrounded by men. And when I joined, it was 40 men to 1 female in a platoon.
Wow.
I did that for 4 years. And for a long time, I had to unlearn a lot of those experiences to meet people where they're at and say, I'm not going to use my past trauma and bring it forward and think that every person here is a predator or every person here is going to hurt me. Because there were great individuals, and especially men, who I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my protection, for their experience, and just sitting down with me in like any way possible to make sure I understood the mission, and they gave me that time. So I'm not going to say that there's a specific gender, but women need their own services. So we need specialized care, we need trauma-informed care, we need person-centered care, and we need options like community care, because we don't want to go to a facility where we're feeling alone and we're not supported. So, having an own separate entity, it does help, because there's that, like, those 4 walls actually becomes a protective factor.
Wow.
Rather than going into, I have to walk through the VA, I have to go 4 floors up and then in the corner, and my only option is a male gynecologist. And for a female who has military sexual trauma, I don't want a male as my gynecologist.
Right.
I want to have the option to have a female if I wanted it, and that should be it. It's choice. Veterans need choice. We need to be able to choose whether or not we want to work with civilians who are literally flawless and could give you a master class on how to, recover from both, substance abuse and alcoholism and from trauma, or a veteran counselor like myself who might tell you to do push-ups. It's based off of, how that person responds, and if they have choice and variety, and they have the ability to be autonomous and choose, their outcome is going to be that much better. So we really just need, we need differentiation of programs, we need person-centered care, we need trauma-informed care, and we need those specializations, especially as a veteran. I'm 33 years old. I was in during OAF, IEF, so Afghan and Iraq. I'm considered a GWAT veteran. That is a veteran who served during the global war on terror. As a 34-year-old woman, I have a different need set to a 67-year-old man from Vietnam. They have medical cares that centers that help them with the cancers or with anything that is more medically, physically, whereas maybe I need something more that's psychological or specialized as women, and it just doesn't exist. And so we just need more programs, honestly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was very insightful, because we don't think about that. At least I don't. When you hear veteran, you don't think about gender specific. It's just veteran services. So I charge anyone out there you're looking to do any type of community service, let's do something for the female veterans. Well,
it's not really gender. I don't want to make it a gender thing, because it's just the specialization that everyone's human and we all have needs. And so a male and a female have different needs, but also it's about the era. Vietnam veterans have different needs to GWAT, and you have to understand the difference between a war that was 2 years, which is the Korean War, a war that was 4 years, or a war that was 20 years, which was what we just came out of.
Right.
So for the first time ever, we had a war where a first sergeant could have their son or daughter in their platoon.
That's true.
And people don't realize what that does for a family dynamic. And we have the rise of women in the military also creates single mothers, and the support services for that. We need physical spaces for stories to be told and honored and respected, because that's where you're gonna have the best case scenario of recovery from whatever trauma it is. It's just that lived experience that I understand what you've been through, and you may not have been able to talk about it before, but you can talk about it here.
There's a safe space. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. How can someone receive services from your organization?
Yeah, so we make it as easy as possible, and to echo what Danny's saying, that diversity, inclusion, and access to the right care, I think is hitting the nail right on the head there. It's not too complicated what's needed, right? And we provide something in the community that I think is a great service, but there are many services out there. So I always encourage people, find something you're into, participate. Danny's part of a lot of different programs out in the community, and some of them are therapy-based, some of them are working with horses, recreation. There's so many different things. Paws of War, there's a ton of agencies on Long Island, in the city, and in New York. How to join us is really just sending me an email, and then you become a member. We
Okay.
don't have rigid requirements. Anyone who's a first responder, so we are predominantly geared towards veterans in the military, but we do have firefighters and police and even some intensive care healthcare workers that join as well. So sending me an email, we then put you in our membership list, and you receive emails anytime we're doing an event in the community, which since 2013, when the company started, every single event has been free. We've never charged a veteran or a first responder to participate in anything. And again, we offer holistic retreats, we offer acting workshops, we offer drum circles. We're always kind of evolving with the needs and trying to figure out like what would be the best stress management workshops, just like you mentioned. So there's a lot to do. And if you send that email or reach out to any of us, and our info is also on our website, which is millresilience.com. You can also ask, like, what's available this year? What are some of the things coming up that I could participate in?
Okay. Now, I do have one question because this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I just want to find out, you mentioned something about suicide prevention. Mm-hmm. How high is the suicide rate among veterans?
So the suicide rate in this country, in the world, is higher than what we think. And the alarming part of the statistic is that suicide is already a very high number, but 4 times as much between veterans and civilians. Is that accurate?
I would say it's about 44, because I used to say 22 a day, right? The 44 comes from the fact that the Veterans Affairs Administration is only accounted for veterans who have honorable discharges. So for the veterans who have dishonorable discharges, other than honorable discharges and medical discharges, they are not accounted for in that number.
Wow.
So for the people who did not receive, they served, but they didn't receive the benefits of education. They don't have the benefits for any government program. So that's housing, that's mental health, that's physical health, that's everything. So those 44 veterans is still someone's son, daughter, mother, father who has had adversaries that they faced and they have no support from, you know, and so we can't really say 22 a day because that's an accurate number. That's only based by the VA, and not every veteran has the ability to go to the VA. And that also has to do with veterans who are in the reserves or in the National Guard. They're not considered either because it's different titles. There's Title 10 orders, Title 9 orders, depending if it's from the president or from your state. And so now you have all of these veterans who can't access programs. You're going to have, you know, high suicide rates.
Wow.
You're going to have veterans who succumb to addiction and to homelessness and not having employability. It's because they don't have access to care.
Wow.
And that hopelessness comes into play
Yeah.
with that disposition
Not
she's
having,
describing. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, you had asked us, what are the coping skills that the military teaches you?
Survive.
They teach you to survive. I try to tell my clients, when you've been in so many cycles of just chaos and chaos and chaos, you get used to it, and it becomes your norm.
Becomes normal.
And to break that cycle, it's gonna feel really weird at first, like that, like calmness and that serene. You're like, this isn't for me. I don't know this. But once you know better, you can do better. And you know, if they don't have that education, they don't have the emotional intelligence, they don't have the coping skills, they don't have the family dynamics, then when they come home, the hardest point for a veteran is transition. Transitioning out of the military is the toughest time because they're leaving service with a title, with a purpose, with a community, and they're going home to that same domestic violent household that they left from. Or for me, I was going home to a house that was in foreclosure, and I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in an air mattress with my daughter. And so when you don't have those support networks, if it wasn't for my friends and my family and my community, I wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I found community at Warrior Branch, and that's, you know, where I know for the first time in 2021 that from when I left service in September 2015, I suffered from suicidality till 2021 when I became part of Warrior Ranch and started to have that community of people who just wanted you to do better. Like it was just being who you want to be. And Anissa has the retreats where you can bring your family in it. And I can bring my father, I can bring my daughter, because yes, the veteran is the one suffering, but the family unit suffers too. And
Absolutely.
they need the support. They need to know how to help their veteran when they're suffering. And so education's important. Just, you know, having that expert who knows veterans, the military cultural competency of knowing what era they're in, what branch they're in. If you tell a Marine, hello sailor, you're gonna have trouble, okay? So you need to know the differences. There's, you know, 5 branches, there's different types of service. It's the same, it should be the same respect of other, you know, cultural competencies.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on the first show of In the Moment. I am so excited. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you. And again, thank you for all that you do. And thank you for putting your life on the line. And thank you for the work that you're doing to just make a difference in the community. And to my guests, we have work to do. I mean, this has just been so insightful. So again, thank you for being part of the show. And I would like to take this time to have all of the veterans here, if you would please stand. All of the veterans, please stand. Kevin. And again, thank you all for just putting your life on the line every day for us so that we can be safe. We appreciate you. We respect you and we honor you. So thank you. And I want to say, Dr. Branch, she said something and I never thought about it, because we always hear, we say, you know, it's Veterans Day, it's Veterans Day. But if you remember, she said it's Veterans Month. And I like that, because why do we only have to say one day? It's Veterans Month. So I just think that's something that I'm going to start. I celebrate my birthday all month. I take gifts from June 1st to the 30th. So why not celebrate veterans all month? So again, to our veterans who came out tonight, thank you so, so very much. So thank you again for being part of the first taping of In the Moment. So happy that you joined. So happy that you're tuning in. And my motivational message, which I vow to give after each and every show, because that's who I am. And I promise to pour out all of that, who I am, to each and every one of you. And it's very simple, but just do not ever, ever, ever give up on yourself. Others may give up on you. Others may doubt you. Others may say that you can't accomplish. You may have grown up hearing you will never amount to be anything. You're just like this person. You're just like that person. But I challenge you to find a place in your mind and in your heart to say, I am who I was created to be. I know who I am, and I'm going to live the life that has been given to me. Life is so sweet, and it's all about what you make it. So grab life by the horns, live the life, live your dreams, live on purpose. You're not here just to exist, but you are here for a reason. You're here for a purpose, and only you can allow yourself to discover that. It's in you, and I challenge you to just find the strength within yourself to pull that purpose out and be the person that you were created to be. I will never deny who I am, and the way I will end this show and every single show that I have is by saying, I am who I am because God created me to be the woman who I am. And all of this I have is because of my Lord and my Savior. And I give him all the glory for who I am. And I share who I am with each of you. God bless you.